Kash Patel and Dan Bongino made it so the FBI did not have a good week in the eyes of MAGA. They came out and did an interview saying, we've looked at the documents and Jeffrey Epstein definitely killed himself, and disregard the deer in the headlights look on Dan Bongino's face. They're definitely telling the truth, guys. 100% trust us. Well, it's pretty clear the FBI needs a win right now. So in order to try to deliver that win, they have reopened 3 very important cases that have gone completely under the radar, were swept under the rug by the previous administration. Media won't talk about it, and everybody has almost completely forgotten. I think Amy didn't even know.
Yeah, I had to ask about a few of these. Yeah, I honestly had to. What is a pipe bomb? I didn't even know. You guys literally just explained to me what a pipe bomb is.
Yeah, so
you don't have to make one what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I'm not going to make
the FBI has reopened the investigations into the guy who planted pipe bombs at the DNC headquarters and the RNC headquarters on January 6th, the White House cocaine, where that definitely did not belong to Hunter.
I knew about that one.
And the leak of the Supreme Court Dobbs decision draft that led to an assassination attempt on Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. So we have some of the details on these if you guys don't remember. So January 6th pipe bomber. The night of January 5th, 2021, an unknown individual wearing a gray hooded sweatshirt, face mask, gloves, and black and gray Nike Air Max sneakers was seen placing bombs outside the RNC and DNC headquarters. These bombs were functional, but they were rigged up to kitchen timers with 60-minute time limits, which means there was never an intent to detonate them. Kamala Harris and her security detail were present at the DNC headquarters the morning of January 6th, which raises a lot of questions about why they never found these bombs during the security sweep. They were just like around the corner behind a trash can in bushes. They should have been able to find them if they were looking, but nobody did. And the vice president-elect was within feet of functional pipe bombs. That,
wow.
Do you have the video?
I don't have the video.
She walks right by it.
She walks right past it. In fact, I believe, according to one of the videos, one of her Secret Service guys looks in the direction of the bomb and then just keeps walking.
Yeah.
Really?
Which raises, like I said, a lot of questions. The prevailing theory seems to be that the goal was to have these bombs discovered the morning of the riot to divert Capitol Police and other emergency responders to these 2 buildings, leaving Congress completely undefended, which, given how shorthanded the Capitol Police were, might actually have worked. But for some reason, they have never identified who this guy is. They have interviewed thousands of people. I think there's a $500,000 reward.
$1,000 reward. There wasn't
and nobody.
What's
has
weird
come
is that they were literally finding people who were there that day because of where their cell phone pinged, and they were going to a different state, track them down. They never saw the person on camera or anything. Never had any eyewitnesses. But they were like, "Yeah, your cell phone pinged in D.C. that day, so we have to take you into question you." But they couldn't find a guy who put a bomb there.
Yeah, what?
To say nothing of the fact
crazy.
that the pipe bombs were allegedly constructed using the exact methods they used to build training bombs at FBI training centers. Or when they're training FBI agents how to deal with pipe bombs and homemade explosives, they make them according to these exact specifications, rigged up to kitchen timers.
They have a prop room somewhere where they get these totally intact passports that they used on 9/11 and on the New Year's Eve thing, and then stuff like this where they don't even put any effort into this. I mean, make it look like somebody built it in their kitchen at least. If you're gonna have
Could you guys explain for me and maybe anyone in the chat who does? So you said they were never intended to detonate. So what was the intention then behind that?
Clearly, according to the theory, it was meant to be. These inactive pipe bombs are planted at the political headquarters of both major parties, so it's not even a partisan thing, so that somebody finds it, calls in a bomb threat on both buildings, then you get a bunch of cops who would otherwise respond to the riot to come secure these scenes, which, according to the prevailing media narrative, it was alt-right, Proud Boy, Trump supporters who were trying to distract from the riot. Equally likely was that it was, feds trying to make sure that their people planted in the crowds would have less opposition.
How funny is that? Where they're like, we don't know who it is, but we suspect that it was a MAGA extremist.
Yeah,
but
because you only hear about the DNC headquarters, and then maybe you hear Kamala Harris was close to it.
Right.
You don't hear about the fact that they were also planted at the RNC, which isn't really all that far away. I think they're they're pretty close to each other.
An equal amount of bombs.
Yes. It was just a guy walked around for an hour just scattering pipe bombs, bushes, trash can, behind a building, in an alley. Wow. And it's he wasn't hiding them.
Yeah.
And this again, like you were saying, what was the point of having them? they're rigged up to kitchen timers, which means you can only set them for 60 minutes. 60 minutes.
And reliably.
Were they on 0 when they found them?
Yeah, but they were never activated, so they could have gone off. But if they'd been planted to explode, they only could have been planted within an hour.
Right.
But they were not meant to go off. They were meant to be found. So there was no real bomb threat, which raises the question: what was it for?
Were they real bombs though? Did they find that out?
They were. I believe they were operable. They just weren't.
Never switched on.
Never turned on.
activated.
People
Wow.
said that usually they have a primary timer that is a kitchen clock, and then that triggers a secondary timer that it makes the bomb go off. So they said they were rigged to not go off. But I don't know about this. Very weird. If anyone's been to DC, like there is cameras everywhere.
Really?
Especially
And-
next to Congress, yeah.
I've been, but I forget. I don't remember
every
seeing
single
cameras.
They're like-
post,
And it's
corner,
cameras you can't even see.
Right.
Like it's one of the most surveilled
Surveillance
cities in the,
state.
yeah.
With
Damn.
good
With
reason. It's
good
the entire
reason,
United
you
States
know.
government in that
Yeah.
in that city. But it's very odd, and we're hoping. The Epstein thing kind of knocked some of the wind out of our sails on hope and trust in Kash Patel.
Yeah.
But maybe they can actually deliver some answers on this, and we can find out who was trying to cause this problem.
But that's like it's like they cheated on us and they're trying to bring home roses though. Like this isn't an equal thing. You have to do like 12 of these to even get close.
Yeah. Well, they're certainly doing 3 of them because the next thing they've opened is the leak of the Supreme Court draft of the Dobbs decision, which overturned Roe v. Wade, which, jog your memory on that one, on May 2nd, 2022, Politico obtained a draft majority opinion authored by Justice Samuel Alito in the case of Dobbs v. Jackson's Women Health Organization, indicating that the court intended to overturn Roe v. Wade. This is one of the most significant breaches in Supreme Court history.
Yeah, we still know who released it,
Yeah,
huh?
the document dropped via Politico over a month before the final decision came out, which gave pro-choice activists enough time to begin rallying outside Supreme Court justices' houses, including one guy who drove across the country, loaded up a tactical vest with 2 Glocks, magazines, zip ties, a hatchet, pepper spray, and then he went and hid in the bushes out in front of Brett Kavanaugh's house. The only reason that the Supreme Court justice was not killed was because the guy had second thoughts and called the cops to turn himself in. Which, like, imagine what that phone call would have been like.
Oh, yeah,
like I have reason to believe there's going to be an attempt on Brett Kavanaugh's life tonight. Well, how do you know? I'm in his bushes right now with a hatchet. Come get me, please. Like, nobody remembers this.
That's crazy.
But because of the leak of this document,
Yeah.
somebody tried to kill a member of the Supreme Court.
And why were they never interested in who leaked this? Like, was it Kataji Brown Jackson? Like, I mean, who else would have had access to it?
Yeah.
It's just the judges, right?
They investigated a bunch of staffers because, there would have been clerks in everyone's office that would have had access. But the theory, or at least the one I favor, is that it was one of the liberal justices that was behind the leak.
Yeah, probably.
Deliberately.
Yeah.
So, like, was Ketanji Brown Jackson in the Supreme Court at that point?
I believe so,
by
yeah.
May 2022?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Oh wow.
But
There has never been an incident of a Supreme Justice being assassinated.
Oh, wow. That would have been the first.
He would have been the first. This is since it was 1789.
Wow.
That would have been the first.
What's
Wow.
their security like? Their
How
security's not that
crazy
good.
is that?
yeah, which is why it's crazy that Chuck Schumer
Well,
and
people
various
shouldn't be
others
trying to
were
murder them.
encouraging people to go protest at their
did.
houses.
Yeah.
They did, and that was very dangerous. Very dangerous. Like, you don't touch the Supreme Court.
Yeah. Well, of course, they only like the court when it's stacked with justices who are going to do whatever they
their
want
bidding.
on the left.
Yeah.
And if you happen to have a conservative majority, quote unquote, because they're not diehard right wingers. It's
Yeah.
basically just Clarence Thomas and a bunch of
I love Clarence Thomas.
squishy
He's one of my favorite guys.
center right people.
God literally stacked the court. I mean, think about Obama in 8 years got to appoint 1 justice, and Trump got to appoint 3 in 4 years.
Yeah.
Like, just totally coincidence because of who died when and who got sick when. So, I mean, like,
Just luck.
If,
And
yeah.
if Ruth Bader Ginsburg had retired at a normal age and not insisted on clinging
ripe
to
age of
authority for the rest of her
89.
life in the court, Obama could have appointed someone to her vacant seat as well, because
And
he didn't get to appoint Merrick Garland, and believe you me, the Democrats have never let us forget that.
And to Brandon's point, like, this is an act of God.
Yeah.
Because we saw with our own eyes how bad things get when the court starts getting politicized and starts acting against the government, this is happening right now in Brazil, they have no chance of actually getting the democracy back. They have no
it's
chance.
happening
Except
here.
for
What are you talking about? It's
revolution.
literally happening here with Supreme Court judges refusing to act on some of Trump's orders. It's literally happening here as well.
Yeah, they're very politicized, but just like it's less obvious because they, I mean, like thank God they at least stopped the thing from taking him off the ballot, but
hey,
still.
all right, they ruled against him sometimes, but they're not actively going after him.
Right.
That's a whole different level. You know,
Yeah.
this happened in Romania. This happened in Brazil. It's currently happening in the EU. Like if you look at Germany, they're getting everyone from the AfD in jail. All right. So this could be an America ending.
Like, are
incident.
you under the impression that the Supreme Court's inaction of trying to go after Donald Trump and other people is because Ketanji Brown Jackson and Sonia Sotomayor are, content to sit on their hands and do nothing? You know the court has to be divided on these subjects. These are very much activist judges. Ketanji Brown Jackson in particular is known for being a very hardcore activist judge who talks 3 times more than the other justices.
Oh, wow.
They actually have transcripts of like, they keep a tally of which justice has said the most words per session. She's always like thousands and thousands ahead of the other ones.
Oh, imagine getting assigned to that one and just being like, damn it.
And this is why when Democrats are like, oh, the conservative majority overturned Roe v. Wade, let's pack the court. Let's make it so Joe Biden can appoint 4 more justices to give us the majority again. The court was supposed to be nonpartisan, which is why you don't have Republican justices and Democrat justices. You have conservative and liberal because it's just an opinion on how to interpret the Constitution.
Gotcha.
But it's become so politicized. They've expanded the court, 3 times?
In history, FDR did it.
Yeah.
Who else?
Let's follow in the footsteps of FDR.
Everything bad.
Everything bad traces back to FDR. But this is why
His
they
grandparents
weaponized the
sold
court.
opium.
Yeah. And now we have activist, low-level circuit court justices who are able to say, that plane full of criminal migrants, we're going to need you to turn that around, bring them back, let them go.
Right.
You didn't follow the right procedure.
Well, on that
I'm
note,
sorry.
Could it have been a judge themselves
Yes.
who actually leaked
There
the
is
thing?
Most likely.
That is either a judge or a clerk on their behalf, is my opinion.
Because they wanted
on
to
it.
rally the rage,
Yeah.
right?
They gave the activist a month to rally and rage and make threats against the majority opinion.
I remember that time too. Like I don't know about you guys. You probably don't hang out with many liberals at all. I did have some liberal friends a couple of years, and I remember
we
these were
know.
very
Friends.
uncomfortable dinner
Great
conversations around
friends.
that time. Oh my goodness, it was so uncomfortable.
Oh, were they nervous?
They were just so outraged and so pissed, and like, aren't you pissed? And I'm just like, at this point, I wasn't really that outspoken politically. I held my values. I mean, I've always been super against abortion. I feel so strongly on that, even when I was somewhat of a feminist, and not feminist in the typical sense, but just like a girl boss. Like I made good money. I wanted to make good money, blah, blah, blah.
What's that
right?
tattoo saying?
Nothing. I don't have a tattoo. What are you talking about?
Right, of course. Never mind. But speaking of people who are agitated and very, very angry, Hunter Biden, the known coke and crack addict who used to live in the White House periodically, definitely not responsible for the dime bag of cocaine found in a locker at the White House. This is the 3rd case that the FBI is now looking into. Remember that? Remember how they said, just like with these other 2 cases, we interviewed a couple thousand people. We reviewed hours and hours of security footage. There's no trace evidence. There's no fingerprints on the bag. No hair samples nearby. It's a blatant cover-up.
This is the lamest one of them all, though. Like it's very lame that they're trying to distract us from the Epstein stuff with these things. But like this thing, I care 0% about. I don't care if it was Hunter. Like I wish Joe Biden would have done cocaine. I don't think it's that big of a deal. People in the White House do cocaine. Like it might make them more productive unless they form an addiction. But yeah, like out of all the things you could be spending FBI resources on, like don't care about this at all. I'm actually mad that they're investigating this one.
Well, Brandon, the thing is, and that's what you said at the beginning, they're trying to stack W's. All right. The L they got last week.
You know what this is though? Like if you're trying to get some base hits, get some momentum going. This is like a bunt foul ball.
But hey, if you stack 12 W's, you know, you might be onto something.
I mean, what happens if they? I mean, Occam's razor, right? Probably Hunter. What happens if they prove that conclusively? What even happens?
He has,
in that
he has
instance?
immunity.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
He has immunity from like treason, so he's not
So,
going
so
to.
they're,
and
they're
unfortunately,
literally wasting resources.
That's
then.
the one pardon that Biden showed up to sign in person and didn't use an auto pen for.
Yeah.
So it turns out all the things protecting himself and his family,
right.
they can't knock down. But maybe the
Wow.
other pardons might be able to be struck down,
Right.
along with a bunch of executive orders, potentially. But
That's awful.
the fact that they
still
Like if
lied
they want,
about
if they
this
want
for
a
so
list of
long-
things to go after to get wins, I'll give them a list of things to go after to get wins because there's like a laundry list of shit that we want to know more stuff about. But like this is at the bottom of everybody's list. This isn't even on the radar. Like think about all the things that are still like uncovered, unspoken about, undetected that we could be going into. Like if we want to play this game, then like there's a whole ton of things that I would like them to look into.
Yeah.
This one, zero interest.
So like, okay, so fill in. Do some things on that list. We're going down like
9/11.
the FBI will not do Epstein. Let's say they just
Yep.
Pam Bondi and
Pedos
Cash
run the
Patel
world,
come
we
out
get
and
it.
say Epstein client list off the table. You're never seeing it.
Yep.
What things could they do that would balance the scale, in your opinion?
9/11. Declassify some stuff with that.
JFK files, like more
Yeah. Which
they already
something
did, but, like, give
conclusive. No,
us-
but something
yeah.
conclusive, actually.
Yeah, and there's still supposedly stuff they're withholding on that. The what's it called? The Mandalay Bay thing, the Las Vegas situation. You know,
Yeah.
we don't
Oh,
know-
yeah,
we don't know
Mandalay
shit
Bay.
about that.
Which there's not even an investigation into that going on. I
No.
don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's reopen that one.
It was the same weird sheriff too. That was the guy that was in charge of Hawaii during the Hawaii wildfires too.
Yeah, that's crazy.
biggest
And he
one-
was involved in one other weird thing as well, that guy.
I think Diddy. I think he was like Diddy's
Yeah,
fixer.
there was something
Wasn't
with
it?
Diddy too.
My
yeah.
biggest one would be the 2008 bank bailout.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
It's not even investigated. Like it's like every American should be furious that they took your money to bail out bankers who pay themselves. All right, they paid themselves like millions and millions in bonuses the year they lost all the money. That should be investigated.
Yeah.
But that one I think is more unlikely to happen than Epstein.
Probably. And then how about the missing trillions that like we got college professors coming out
that's
saying
my number two.
we can't track the trillions, but it's like how about instead of looking for the cocaine dime bag where that came from, look into like what happened to like tens of trillions of dollars over
Maybe
the
they
last
spent
20
it on
years.
cocaine.
Yeah, imagine.
Who's to say? But regardless, these are all promises that they have been making for a very long time. They're kind of delivering on them, but like the big ones, like we just listed 3 things that are huge
Yeah.
compared to these 3 things that they opened, but nobody will touch them.
Yeah.
These are promises that either were not delivered or were upon arrival not what they were
The
cracked up to be.
2008 thing is so taboo that I never heard any government official making a promise that they will look into it.
Really?
Never.
I need to look into this one. I don't know much about it, to be honest.
I have a video on it.
Yeah? On your channel?
Yeah.
Everyone
But,
go check out Brandon's channel. Watch
And whoever's running the chat for us, see if we can drop a link down there, maybe in the description of this video when we're done.
Thanks.
But
I think a lot of
speaking-
people don't understand it though. Just to like put a bow on that. Like I think a lot of people in Congress are easy to get manipulated by the bankers because the bankers just take a whole bunch of big scary number things to them and they just kind of bend over and give them what they want.
Yeah, of course.
So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.